Well, hello and welcome to Wildcat Week. I'm Roger Elcock. We're going to talk some volleyball, and Wildcat Volleyball is on fire with a 6-game winning streak. 5 of those games took place this last week. They beat Taylor on Wednesday and then won all 4 of their matches at the IW Invitational this past weekend. Here to speak a little bit more on each of these games is the Indiana Wesleyan Volleyball head coach, Candace Moats. And Coach, welcome back to Wildcat Week. It's been a while, but this has been a year for volleyball that's, every year is a new year, but this is really a new year. I mean, with a lot of new faces, and things got off to a little bit of a slow start, but you guys are starting to play really good volleyball now.
Yeah, we have 14 new people on our team in the last 2 years out of 16 total people, so it's a definite new face that people haven't seen this year. They'll see different players. But yeah, I took these new freshmen, sophomores to kind of the wolves right away, just to show them that, hey, this is what the top 5 look like, and yeah, it was interesting.
Well, if I look at your pre-conference schedule, Campbellsville, always tough. Reinhardt, they were receiving votes in top 25, but Lindsey Wilson, the #1 team in the country, Missouri Baptist, they're #3 in the country at the time. Park, #5 at the time. So you guys did play a brutal non-conference schedule.
Yeah. It was fun, but I think it was I'd love to do that now.
You're right.
Because we're way more organized and we have more confidence and we just understand each other and we're playing better together. But yeah, right away at the beginning, that was a little bit it created a lot of conversations for us and kind of growth opportunities.
I was going to say, if it doesn't break you, it makes you better, and you want to get better as you go into conference play, because of course the Crossroads League is always kind of the goal to maybe win the title there. And you start out 1-2 in league play, but then you've won 6 of the last 7. We're taking a look at some highlights of the game against Taylor, a team that was one of those early losses in conference. But I was curious, what kind of things did your team learn about those early losses to Taylor and a couple other schools that maybe they've been able to adjust to, and now it's paying dividends?
Yeah, I think the piece that is probably the most adjustable for new players coming into college volleyball is the speed of the game. And we were trying to run a very fast speed, and so we have a setter, freshman setter. We have 4 freshmen on the court, and they have not had to run such a quick offense or such a quick game against other teams, and those top teams, obviously they run super fast. So now as we've been adjusting to the speed of the game and getting smarter with that, now our athleticism is really coming out.
We saw in that first set you got off to a fast start. Speaking of a fast game, got off to a fast start, and in the second set you guys were on a roll.
Yeah, it was. I think the adjustments of we had a game plan against these guys, because obviously we should not have lost to them the first game we played them, but that's one of the things that we're still working on, is just those mental errors that kind of take us out of the game and freeze us up a little bit. But as we've been getting stronger just in our personal development, and our fearlessness of not worrying about how we do, that's been helping a lot to go through those kind of mindless times that we have at times.
Now this third set got a little scary for the Wildcats because Taylor jumped out to a lead, and in fact they were 2 points away from the set, but you guys were able to tie it up at 24 and kind of in a nail biter take the third set, and that was good to get this one in 3 sets for sure.
Yeah, it was kind of a personal victory for us because we were up 2-0 last time against Taylor and we lost that third set, and then we proceeded to lose the last 2, which then took the match away from us. But to get this one fighting through kind of the pressure situation was a victory, I think, for us as well.
This point here, and you talk about the match there or the point there that won the match for you, but a long volley there and some great digs and then the hit in the back corner. Big win against Taylor.
Yeah.
You moved out of conference. We're going to talk a little bit about your invitational because after that win against Taylor, you host your own invitational. And that's the thing about volleyball. You have these, you have a home and home series in the conference, but
Right.
you guys play a ton of invitationals or a lot of games. How many games will volleyball actually play in a regular season or potentially in a full season?
Yeah, well, regular season, we're going to be in the 30-plus range, but if you put postseason into that, you're going to get into your 40s with the number of matches that you play.
So that's a lot of games.
It is.
So you played 4 this last weekend.
Right.
And as St. Ambrose out of Iowa came to town, Cumberland out of Tennessee, Trinity International out of Chicago, Illinois area, and St. Francis of Illinois. You not only went 4-0, you didn't even lose a set in that weekend. So you had to be pretty happy with how the ladies played in that invitational.
Yeah, there's definitely a confidence that's starting to come with the team. And, in assessing the 4 opponents that we had, we really felt like the speed we're training at is much faster than what we're seeing across the net, which is really making us have the edge. And so as we notice the training that, our level of play is getting higher and higher as we're going, we really felt confidence that we could go in and get the wins. We're really proud of them for not making the errors so that we could do the sweep on each of the matches, but felt pretty confident that we're most likely going to go 4-0 if we kept our heads.
Well, and that's the word you brought up in the last question for you, Coach, but you said it, confidence. Has to be a lot higher now than maybe after the first couple of weeks. Finding confidence and success and learning the speed of the game and the team and what you want to have done.
Yeah, and I think, when you have a lot of young kids and stuff and you start out by just really talking to them in a way that we try to do in our culture of our team, they're not really used to that kind of language. And so for us to be able to speak truth to them and speak positive and fearlessness and, the mindset of go out there and just give it all for the Lord and play your absolute best and don't fear mistakes and all those kind of things has been new language for them, which is really freeing them up. And you can see as we're going along that these kids are getting healthier and from their programs that they came from, that didn't really give them those truths. So it's kind of exciting, and because of that, I think the confidence is growing in that way as well.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, again, Coach, congratulations on some big victories, and thanks for joining us on Wildcat Week.
Thanks, Raj.
Well, Wildcat Volleyball is traveling to Mount Vernon Nazarene University to defend their winning streak. That game is on Tuesday, October the 2nd at 7 p.m. Well, when we come back, men and women's golf had an exciting weekend at the St. Francis Invitational. We'll talk to some of the players when we come back. Well, welcome back to Wildcat Week. We haven't had a chance to dive into the men and women's golf season at IW, but here to help us out are Nick Schad and Makenna Hostetler from the men and women's golf teams. And so, first of all, welcome guys to Wildcat Week. I know you've been waiting, Nick, 4 years to be on Wildcat Week, I'm sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, first of all, just so people can kind of get a sense who we're talking to, we'll start with Makenna. Why don't you just kind of tell us where you're from and what you're studying, and then kind of maybe a little insight of why you chose Indiana Wesleyan University.
Yeah, for sure. I'm from Fort Wayne, Indiana, and I'm majoring in elementary education. So I chose Indiana Wesleyan. It was kind of a hard decision for me. I had a lot of colleges that were kind of in the mix, and then I narrowed it down to like top 4, and I just felt like when I visited again here that it was really God's decision to allow me to come here. So that's why I picked here.
And so now you're a freshman here at Indiana Wesleyan. Big change from high school to college, not only in terms of athletics and golf, but also just, campus life and academics. So can you tell us a little bit about that transition and how it's been going for you?
Yeah, for sure. First on the golf aspect, it's a little different just because we have 2 day tournaments instead of 1, which is what I was used to in high school. only one tournament in high school was 2 days. So I think time management going into like academics and athletics is a way bigger thing than it was in high school. So I think that's really important that I have to manage.
Were you surprised at all by, or pleased with kind of how your team has come together and the kind of unity of college team? Because that's one thing you always wonder about as an athlete, whether my teammates going to be like.
For sure, and I had met them a little bit before, but not really, we hadn't really dived into those relationships yet. So I think after the first week, they were all really welcoming and really just helped me try to succeed in my first week here. So I think it was important to start building those relationships, and the team's just filled with love, and I think that it's just a great thing for us to be able to lean on each other.
Nick, you're at the other end of the spectrum. You're a senior now, but give folks an idea kind of where you're from and what you're studying here.
Yeah, I'm from Columbus, Ohio originally, and I'm studying sports ministry here, which is a pretty unique major, I think, in a lot of ways.
And you would like to hopefully utilize golf in some sort of ministry aspect as you go on from here. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would. I love golf, but also have a passion for the gospel and discipleship. So whether I pursue that through coaching high school golf or college golf, or through a parachurch organization like Fellowship of Christian Athletes, something of that nature, I'm just excited to see where God takes me in that.
Let's talk a little golf. I know, Makenna, we were talking before the show that if you look at the team and the scores, each consecutive invitational, you guys are getting a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. And, Northern Ohio, 3rd out of 7 teams with your own invitational, 2nd out of 16 teams, Huntington, 2nd out of 9. Most recently at the St. Francis Invitational, you guys were leading after day 1, end up finishing 2nd in that 2-day tournament. But you got to be happy with how this team is starting to play a little bit better as well.
Yeah, for sure. We're all getting to know our strengths and just where we can play. So I think it's easier for us to understand like who's going to shoot what, so that if someone comes in with a bad round, you just know that you can pick them up with another one. And so I think, it's a good start to the season.
Now, Nick, obviously being a senior, that the fall season, it's a lot of invitationals. You do all those kinds of things. And by the way, the Wildcats on the guys' side have taken first place in each of their 3 invitationals so far this fall. But it's the spring season that, I don't want to say they both matter, but spring season's critical because that's when the conferences and when NAI nationals and things like that happen. So what do you do between this fall and the spring, in that kind of, in those winter months to make sure you don't lose the gains you made in the fall?
Yeah, so everything we do in the fall is to kind of lead us into that spring for the conference championship, like you said, give us a shot at making it to nationals. But over the winter, we have an indoor golf facility now where we've been able to hit balls, so really important through the winter months especially here in the north where it's cold, to keep our golf swing muscles loose, keep our swings in check. We can take videos and make sure we're still swinging it well. And there's areas for short game to work on putting and chipping as well. So it's been really helpful to not kind of come into the spring season like too rusty or too cold, when we pretty much have a pretty quick jump back into it before conference.
Awesome. Well, hey, guys, thanks for stopping by, and hope you have a great finish to the fall season. Best of luck at it's unique Taylor Invitational, but it's up in Michigan, so should be a great time, and best of luck there.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, as we said, coming up for the women's golf team is the Taylor Invitational. That's October the 5th and the 6th. The Invitational starts at noon on Friday the 5th and at 9 a.m. on Saturday the 6th. The men will be in action Monday, October the 8th, and their tee time is set for 8:30 a.m. Well, when we come back, we'll talk to members of the men and women's cross country teams. Mikala Woodfork brings us the breakdown as well, so don't go away. Welcome back to Wildcat Week. We have so many sports going on right now on this campus. We usually don't have time to talk about all of them in an episode. So to bring us up to date in a 2-minute drill, we welcome back the breakdown. Here's Mikala Woodfork.
Thanks, Roger. The Wildcats took quite a few wins over the past weekend. Both men's and women's tennis had 2 matches on Saturday facing IU Southeast and Georgetown. The men's team won 5-0 against IU Southeast. The top singles winner for the day was Eli Steiner, and in the top doubles team were Grant Esposito and Eli Steiner. The Wildcats then played against Georgetown and came away with a 5-1 victory, with Eli and Grant leading the way again. The women's team won a 6-0 against IU Southeast. The top singles player for the ladies was Lizzie Boss, and in the top doubles team were Lizzie Boss and Alex Mella. Next up, they also had Georgetown, and they won that contest 5-1. And again, Lizzie and Alex were the top players. Women's volleyball also had 2 matches on Saturday against Trinity International and St. Francis. This was day 2 of the IWU Invitational. The Wildcats won 3 straight sets against Trinity. The scores were 25-27, 28-26, and 25-23. The Wildcats also won in 3 straight sets against St. Francis. The scores were 25-12, 25-17, and 25-17. Marcy Miller was a key player in these 2 games. She had 14 kills versus Trinity and 12 against St. Francis, finishing the whole invite with 53 kills and 4.4 kills per set. Moving right along to men's cross country, who were at the Greater Louisville Classic over the weekend, the team finished 13th out of 45 teams. The top 3 Wildcat finishers were Jesse Saxton with a time of 24 minutes and 45 seconds, Chris Maxson at 24:47, and Matthew Ruppert at 26:33. Both Saxton and Maxson ran 2 out of the 3 fastest times in program history. The women's cross-country team were also at the Louisville Classic. The team finished 13th out of 31 teams. The top 3 finishers for the team were Rebecca Groh at 19:12, Yvette Rojas at 19:27, and Christina Magers at 19:37. Women's golf competed in the USF Invite and finished in second, just 2 behind Taylor. Taylor scored a 6-12, Indiana Wesleyan 6-18, and St. Francis a 6-30. The top 3 Wildcat players were Makenna Hostetler, who finished at 151, Haley Sakanga at 154, and Brooke Follenkamp at 156. Men's golf was also at the USF Invitational and came out on top with a score of 609. St. Francis came in behind them at 613 and Mount Vernon Nazarene at 619. The top Wildcat scorers were Nick Schad with 141 and Patrick Hardy, Daniel Dunn, and Cameron Luska all with 156. Finally, we head over to the open fields for some soccer. The men's had a tough 2-0 loss against Huntington University. Felipe Mendonca was so close to scoring a goal during a penalty kick in the first half, but just couldn't get past Huntington's goalie. The women's team was able to beat Huntington that same day 3-1. The Wildcats scored all 3 of their goals in the first half. Tia Sanford scored 2 of those goals, making her just 3 goals away from 50 career goals. How exciting. Well, that's all I have for you this week for the breakdown. Back to you, Roger.
Thank you, Mikala. We'll look forward to the breakdown each and every week. Well, another sport that doesn't get to see the light of television much is cross country, but they've been up to some great things, and here to represent the men's cross country team are Jared Williams and Landon Miller. So guys, welcome to Wildcat Week. I know this is a dream come true, but I'm going to start with you, Jared. Maybe just give an idea, people, where you're from, what year in school are you, and what are you studying?
I'm a sophomore nursing student right now.
And your hometown?
And I'm from Greenwood, Indiana.
Greenwood, Indiana. And what high school?
Well, I go to Whiteland.
Whiteland High School, graduate of. Landon, and where are you home? Or where's home for you?
I'm from Millersburg, Indiana. I went to Fairfield High School.
Fairfield. And what are you studying here?
I'm studying sports management.
And what year in school are you?
I'm a sophomore.
Sophomore. So, guys, cross country, as we said, doesn't get a lot of TV time, so to speak, but you guys are really having a great season following up on what was an outstanding season last year. I wanted to ask you, and I'll start with you, Jared. Want to talk about a race a couple weeks ago down in Louisville. 45 different teams down there. Huge cross-country meet. The Wildcats finished 13th out of 45. But I know that's a meet where you guys felt like you ran extremely well in there.
Yeah.
Couple guys I want to mention, I want to get your input. Jesse Saxton was third out of, I think there were like 450 runners. Chris Maxon was fourth. So third and fourth place finish for those guys. But everyone seems to be running pretty well, and you have to have everyone running well for the team to score, don't you?
Definitely. Even in practice, like everybody moves up, like closing gaps, making everybody else better.
And I think, Landon, you were telling me that those times that Jesse had and Chris had are the second and third fastest times in the history of IW cross country. And so that, I mean, that's got to motivate you guys. You know, we're running super well at the top, and kind of brings everyone together, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Like in practice, like seeing those guys excel like that gives us the motivation to work hard so we can see results like that in races.
And I think you were telling me as well, if anyone's curious, the fastest time ever was by Nino Bellinati, who graduated just a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a little lighthearted here, Jared. Could Nino run today with the beard that he has now?
Probably a little slower.
A little bit slower. Oh, the wind drag, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about kind of what is up next for you guys, because I know you were supposed to go to Iowa for really a big meet. It's the NAI preview. It's at the site where the national meet is held, but that meet had to be canceled because of flooding. So now you're heading a lot closer to home to the Bethel invite this weekend, and so I don't know, Jared, is that a downer for you guys to not go to Iowa, or how do you approach this weekend, knowing that your plans had to change a little bit?
I think it's going to be okay. Like, we don't get to see it, but, we got to adapt sometimes, and it's going to be okay.
Probably the level of competition will be good, but
You're right.
probably not what you would have seen in Iowa as well, is it?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Now, Landon, for your team, you guys finished last year in the conference. You won the conference, first place. Went to NAI Nationals. You were 14th place at that. So, I don't know, is there pressure to defend a conference title? Are there goals to maybe improve on times? Or how do you measure success when you're kind of the reigning conference champ, so to speak?
I guess our focus for this season has, like last year we were pretty young. We were mostly freshmen and sophomores, so now we're more juniors and sophomores. And I guess we want to go back and not focus on winning conference or like placing better in nationals. It's more of working to be the best that we can be. And our coach believes if we work the best and perform to the best that we can be, then the results will follow.
Last question. You mentioned Coach Foss, and whoever wants to answer, maybe either one of you guys can, but he's been here a long time. Has done a great job. But maybe what do you take away from Coach Foss that's even beyond running or beyond sports that maybe he's kind of instilled into your life?
I think just like the faith aspect and how it plays into running.
What about you, Landon?
He really instills the give the glory to God mentality through our running. Like, it's not about results. It's more about looking at the end of the race and saying, I did what I could because of the talents that God gave me.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much. Best of luck this weekend, or coming up at Bethel, and then down the road at conference meet coming up in about a month or so in Upland. So good luck to you guys.
Thank you.
Well, thanks again to these guys for stopping by. As we said, the men and women's cross country team will both be competing in the Bethel Invitational October the 5th. Race begins at 5 p.m. Wow, that is all we have for you on this episode of Wildcat Week. If you would like to see more of Wildcat Week, you can visit our website, wiwtv.com. There you can see past episodes and connect with us online. Again, that's wiwtv.com. And you can stay connected with all our local programming by subscribing to our YouTube channel. That's WIWTV51. Well, we look forward to seeing you next week. So for all of us here, thanks for watching Wildcat Week.